Ace playing the victim, putting on the puppy dog eyes and saying, maybe she just doesn't like me enough. Has to be a joke. I've never felt less sorry for a man in my entire life. Love Island USA episode 25, and Shelley is totally pissed off at Huda because she took things too far with Ace. Yesterday I was like, I don't get what her problem is, it was a challenge. She kissed Chris twice, like what was the big deal? But even the boys were saying, aye, Huda took it too far. And when other people were talking about it in the villa, they were saying it just went on for too long and it was just like way too much. Now, I would like them to show us the full performance because obviously we only get to see a tiny wee bit. But Shelley is obviously not the only person who thinks that Huda went too far. And we all know for a fact that if Jeremiah was there and anybody even attempted to kiss him, the villa would be up in flames. Huda tried to pull Shelley for a chat, and when she went over she says, look, I'm angry right now, let's just talk tomorrow. I'm the sort of person who, if I'm arguing with somebody, I need to talk about it now or I'll not be able to sleep. Well, I'm like that with my partner. If it was one of my friends, I'd maybe be like, do you know what, I can't be fucked. Go away. But they waited till the next day and Shelley still didn't pull Huda for a chat, so the whole situation's still going on. Ace and Shelley were having a chat. That man has to be kidding. I'm usually quite good at identifying personality disorders or manipulation tactics or whatever, but this, I don't know, I can't identify it. I don't know what it would be called. Delusion, possibly. He's annoyed that during the challenge Shelley kissed Chris twice, and she's annoyed that he went round and kissed everybody and it was taking ages, and she says, oh, I was finished and you were still going round and kissing everybody. And he was like, aye, but you're doing that twice with somebody who you've actually got a connection with. So then he says, oh, I feel as if we're getting to a point where we should be closed off. And she says, you wanted to explore, and I says, that was fine, I told you I was going to explore, and now there's a connection forming. Precisely. The only reason that Ace has got a problem is because she's actually found somebody that she likes. He's explored fucking every cunt that's walked into the villa, and now all of a sudden he feels like they should be getting closed off. And then he was away talking to somebody and he says, oh, I was wondering, like, did I make the right decision by sending somebody home? If you are coupled up with somebody and you're still thinking about the person that you sent home, then you did the wrong thing, because once that person's gone, they should be gone, and that should be it. Obviously Shelley's in a situation where the guy that she liked has been brought back to the house. Obviously if Coco had been kept, they wouldn't be having this conversation about being closed off. It's all about Ace and what Ace wants, and Ace's decisions and who he wants to speak to and who he wants to explore. It's a fucking joke. And then Taylor's sitting giving Ace advice as if he's got a fucking clue what's going on. Ace was in the beach hut like, oh, maybe she just doesn't like me that much. Or maybe she's finally opened her eyes and seen that you're a manipulative, using cuntbag. Who knows? But when Ace and Shelley were sitting having a conversation, she was like, right, okay, and obviously wanting to be calm and not try to start an argument. But then when she was in the beach hut, she was like, is he serious or is he for real? Why do people not express how they're feeling at the time? Maybe she just doesn't want to cause drama. Personally, I don't really care about causing drama, I'll just say what I think. Actually, I can't really help it. It comes into my brain and it comes out. There's no time to, like, process, you know. It just happens. It can be very dangerous. So Chris is paired up with Huda, but he still likes Shelley, and he brings her to them breakfast in the morning, and Huda says, oh, I noticed that you brought her 2 pancakes and a flower and you brought me 1 pancake. And that is not being petty, right? If she's noticed it and she went and spoke to him about it, and he was like, oh, I wasn't meaning to, like, show favouritism. Well, what were you meaning to do then? Did you not think that when you were putting the plates out that Huda would notice that she had 2 pancakes and she had 1? Like, if you've got children, you wouldn't do that because there would be a fucking riot caused in the house. So why do it with 2 women? Unless he actually turned round to Huda and says, look, I want to pursue you both, but Shelley's my number 1. And still, fucking make the lassie 2 pancakes and give her a fucking flower. So Chris is now thinking to himself, I like Shelley, but I'm starting to grow feelings for Huda. And at the end, they were in, what would you call that, like the speakeasy bit? And they're cuddling and all that and getting to know each other, and he's been really cute. And she says, I'm not used to a man looking after me. And he says, oh, how are you meant to have a husband? And he is actually quite sweet, and he says, oh, I'm not really used to like chasing somebody on the outside. And let's be honest, if they two get any closer and Shelley spots it, there's going to be arguments. Well, actually, there might not be arguments because Shelley's one of the people who's like really calm, but she's going to be fucking pissed. Nick was raging about Elan pulling Sierra onto the heart for the task, and then when Elan stood up, he turned around to Nick and says, oh, it's your turn to watch, and he says, oh, I thought it'd be funny. Now, obviously, I do think he thought it would be funny, but he was doing it to annoy him, obviously. And I did feel kind of bad for Elan because he was saying, oh, I haven't spoke to her since we got back, so I've got to go on the last conversation that we had. No. You don't go on the last conversation that was 9 days ago when she's not spoke to you whatsoever. Like, she's not even pulled him for a chat and says, look, I think that what we had in Casa was really great. I think that you're a nice guy, but now I'm back with Nick and I'm only going to focus on Nick. And he says that he felt ghosted in the house, and he was basically ghosted. Why didn't she just pull him for a chat and say, like, things are over between us? Why can people not communicate? I really don't understand. But when Nick pulled Elan for a chat and he told him that he was annoyed about the task, and he was saying, oh, I thought this guy must have some balls to do that. Why must he have some balls? What was Nick actually going to do about it? I'll tell you what he was going to do. Fuck all. Exactly what he done. Pulled him for a chat and was like, oh, I don't think you should have did that with Sierra. Fuck up, Nick. Honestly, the only reason that he's not with somebody else is because she chose another guy over him. He thought that Jaden was going to stand up, and she didn't. And now he's moaning that somebody else is interested in Sierra. And from the start, anytime MD showed interest in Sierra and they've brought her like a drink or breakfast or whatever, he's actually came in the morning and took it off her and been petty as fuck. And then when she told him that Elan used to make her pancakes in the shape of a C, instead of him thinking up his own thing to do that was cute, he copied it, and then he was pissed off when Elan made her a C-shaped pancake. He's so childish. I get that he's hurt, right, and I get that he's annoyed, but he's very childish. So then when they found out they were going on a date, I was like, here we go, this is his big chance to close things off. Why do they have to wait until they're on a date? And why do they have to always wait on the man asking? Season after season after season, it gets to me. It's like the woman's just sitting like, oh, it's up to the man to decide when he wants to close things off for me. I'll not ask him. It's 2025. If you want to be closed off, ask him. Honestly, it really gets to me. They went on their basic ass date, and Nick says, oh, when we met, I told you that my dream date was a picnic, and I thought it was something that would never happen. Is he incapable of making a couple of sandwiches, fucking them in a bag, and taking somebody out with a blanket and sitting and eating? It's not exactly something like out of this world insane. People have picnics every single fucking day. It's a bit like when somebody says, oh, my dream date is walking down the beach. Fucking go to a beach then. Unless you're living somewhere that is completely landlocked and it's like hundreds or thousands of miles to a beach, okay, I get where you're coming from. But there's people who live in Scotland, or there's people who live in fucking Spain, and they'll be like, oh, my dream date's on a beach, maybe that'll happen one day. Fucking get in the car and go to a beach. So basic. But anyway, the two of them are closed off, and let's be honest, they're only closed off because Elan's showing interest in her. And closed off is an absolute cop-out. They're not going out, they're not exclusive, they're just closed off. All that means is, don't speak to Elan anymore, because I'm back. And then when he came back and he was all happy, and Ace was like, oh, it was so good to see Nick so happy and closed off. I wish that was me. You fucking for real. Clark was asking Taylor what he thought of him and Orlando and if they were closed off, and she's like, what is your feelings about this? And I thought it was like so condescending. I almost had to turn it off because it was annoying me. And he's like, oh, I just wanted to be respectful. No cunt's being respectful to Orlando. They don't give a fuck. Let me know what you thought of last night's episode, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.